Welcome back into the Sports Source, this segment of our program brought to you by the Topoco Lodge. The holidays are almost here. Oh, and that means 2020 is almost over. Thank the good Lord above. That means it's Christmas decorations time at the Topoco Lodge. If you have never visited the Topoco Lodge in November or December, it's a great time to go up there. Lift your spirits above 2020. Get up there and check out their holiday decorations. Beautiful place, the Topoco Lodge. Learn more at topoco.com or on their Facebook page. Okay, this is our wild card segment, and this week it's something different every week. So this week I'm going to ask you about culture. Jeremy Pruitt said last week he wasn't happy with his team's effort. He said he needs more people watching extra film like Henry To'oTo'o. He fired his defensive line coach in week 4, which Sal Sinceri, Dave Clawson, I could go on forever with coaches who lasted a whole year, didn't get fired after 4 games. So that's odd. And then yesterday, Matthew Butler, defensive lineman, had this to say. I thought it was an interesting quote. David, you put this on Twitter. Alabama has a winning culture. We have a winning history. Okay. Culture. And that sounds like something that Jeremy Pruitt probably said that he's quoting there. That maybe he said that himself, but that sounds like something, all right, we've got a winning history, they've got a winning culture, we've got to do this to get here. So when I hear that, I'm thinking, why are we still talking about culture and effort and film watching habits in year 3? Should we be? Am I being too tough to think that year 3, maybe you should have put down your "this is who we are" statement?
No, because we saw it on display yesterday. Alabama loses an all-world player on the opening kick. You would have thought nothing changed. They had another guy ready. Slade Bolden walks in. Their offense doesn't miss a beat. Tennessee, if one problem happens, they're not in that position where, you have that, the worst phrase in football, next man up. You hear it 5,000 times, but goodness, Alabama lived that out yesterday. Tennessee is just not at that point yet. And, culture can mean a lot of things, but ultimately Tennessee's just not at the point where success is an expectation and just a way of life. Everything is hard for Tennessee right now. I mean, you look at, the offense yesterday. You would have thought they were the first team to ever play offense in a football game in the history of football, and Alabama looks like they're playing in 2050. It's just night and day, and that's kind of where Tennessee's at right now.
Sterling, how long does it take to put in a culture?
In my opinion, it takes one workout. Because I was around when we started out 0-6. I was around when we finished 5-6, and we won the SEC championship the next year in the following 2 years. I was around when everybody came together as a team and said, we're tired of this. We're better than this. They are not that much better than us. That guy did not get recruited here because I came here. It's just a matter of saying, I've had enough. Now, be clear. There were teams that were better than us, but they weren't better than us on that day. See, you just got to win the game. And you got to come to the game with that mindset. I'm here to win. And if I don't win on the scoreboard, I just ran out of time. I didn't lose. Well, and that's what we did.
Well, okay. So you think that sounds to me, not to put words in your mouth, you can debate me.
Okay.
Are you saying that culture then comes more from the players than from the staff?
I've always believed that. Coaches do a heck of a job of getting us in position to win during the game. Players win. Players win. Players play and players win. Coaches that used to be players will tell you that players win. As a player that is now, a former player that is now coaching, you understand what the player goes through on the field so it can help them in position to win better or understand their plight during the game. But at the end of the day, comes a point in every game when the player has to say, I'm owning this game like I own my name and I'm winning this game, period. You might not like how I win. I got to get better on Monday anyway, but I'm going to get better off a win.
Josh, here's the thing. There was doom and gloom around the program last year, and then they go on a 6-game win streak. Now, the schedule doesn't set up for you on paper this year the way it did last year, but still, by no means is Jeremy Pruitt done. I know you see that yesterday. That's it. Start the coaching search. It's over. Yep. You're not there yet. But what are your thoughts on firing a guy in week 4, still talking about culture? I don't think it's over, but I don't think the needle's not pointing in the right direction, in my opinion. Your thoughts on where this thing is at the moment?
Yeah, what could you point to say it's going in the right direction?
Well, they are closing the gap with Alabama.
So last segment I mentioned the next 2 weeks. I'll mention it again because I do think these are important because this is one of those games, Arkansas, where Tennessee, I would say, should win the game, I think, in 2 weeks. If you're heading the right direction, if gaps are being closed, you beat Arkansas with Sam Pittman in his first year, as impressive as the job has been. So maybe we'll get a better idea of how players respond, how players are leading the next couple weeks, what they look like when they come out. You also still have to have the right kind of plan. You have to have your players prepared. And if the players believe that they are getting the right kind of preparation, that probably helps with them buying in, right? So I think it all probably goes together. But last year, by the end of the season, we heard about how Daniel Batuli and Jawan Jennings, who's not here, by the way, couldn't they use somebody like that? They help kind of lead the way. They pass things along. Let's see if this group really did pick things up.
Yeah, it's interesting. You would have thought if there was going to be a culture change, it changed when they were on that 6-game win streak. You would, and obviously Jeremy Pruitt thought that because in the locker room after that bowl win, he says, the next decade's going to be the decade of Vols?
Yeah.
I think he thought they were further along than them. I think he and Fulmer both thought this program is further along than it appears to be today.
I still think it's amazing. We're sitting here in year 3. You're talking about the importance of the Arkansas game, the importance of the South Carolina game.
Yeah.
Like,
You're supposed to be
it's about Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. They've played those teams 8 times. They've never come within 22 points of them. I mean, that's what it is. That's where Tennessee's at right now. That's Jerry Pruitt said last night. I knew what the expectations were. That's why I took this job. I knew it was going to be a really difficult situation, and he was right.
Everybody knows it's true, but I wonder, Philip Fulmer voiced it, that coaches at Tennessee are judged on Alabama, Florida, Georgia. He voiced that as athletic director after Pruitt was hired. I wonder if he's going to regret that. Now, everybody thinks it anyway, but now there's a statement from the AD. It's right there. And I started getting a couple tweets yesterday. Who's going to ask Fulmer about this? I wonder if Fulmer's going to come to regret that at some point. That's the kind of question, that's the kind of statement that an AD makes rather than a coach. I don't think head coach Philip Fulmer would have ever said, well, I'm judged on Florida and Alabama and Georgia.
Yeah.
I think an AD says that, and I wonder if he's going to regret that because when you're talking about, all right, you're 0-8, blown out again, the chickens are starting to come home to roost.
I suppose it doesn't really matter if you say it, though, because whether you say it or not, it's still true.
I don't know. I think.
When you back it up with a $400,000 raise as well.
All right, when we come
Bring
back,
down the pipes now.
sunshine and rain cloud. We'll talk about the good. We'll talk about the bad. And I got a question about Henry To'oTo'o's very quiet day. Come on back on the Sports Source.